So let us start with attention model. Now, whenever we talk about attention model, the first thing that comes to our mind is the word attention, right? So attention model का mechanism समझने के लिए we need to understand the word attention first. ठीक है कि attention as such होता क्या है? So attention models इसके बारे में थोड़ा बात करते हैं. Right. So what happens in case of attention models? Attention model mein, the most important thing, as I told you, is this attention. Okay. So I'll be giving you one simple example for you, you to understand. Let's say there's a picture. Okay. Let's say there's a picture. Let's say you went for a picnic or for some sort of ceremony. Let's say. Okay. So in that ceremony, people have taken pictures. Okay, let's say there is a group photo. Okay. There is a group photo. There is a family photo. Let's say whatever. Okay, so let's say these are 5 friends of yours, or maybe your cousins and all. Okay, this is a picture. Now let us assume that you want to make this picture as your display picture in your WhatsApp or maybe on your Facebook or Instagram, wherever. Okay, and let's say this is you. Let's say this is Ravi. Okay, this is you. These are your friends or maybe your cousins, whoever. Okay, so whenever this is a human mentality that we have, that whenever we are putting a picture as a display picture, or even if we are putting a picture in our story, the most important factor that we give importance to is whether my face or my entire body is looking good or not, whether I'm standing in a decent way or not, whether my whole appearance in the picture is looking good or not. The background utna matter nahi karta hai. Faces of my friends do not matter so much. Okay, the first and foremost priority is that whether I am looking good or not. And this is a simple human tendency that we have. Okay, तो कहने का मतलब है कि यहाँ पर you are having 5 people. Okay, along with you there are 4 more people. But where are we putting more attention? We are putting more attention, or we are giving more emphasis to your face or to your entire body. Let's say, okay, whether you are standing in a proper way or not, whether there is any kuch blur na ho gaya ho, something like that. Okay, so the idea is that attention comes to your face or to your entire body. ठीक है, यही same concept आपका attention models में भी use होता है. The only difference is that I showed you with respect to a picture, image, but in case of attention model, you know that we will have to use text. Right? Simple as that. And again, in case of attention model, the architecture of RNN that we will be using will be many to many. Okay, many to many. This is what we are going to use. So let us again draw many to many architecture first. Let us draw many to many architecture first. फिर आगे बात करते हैं कैसे ये चीज implement किया जा सकता है. Okay. So in case of many to many, we have already discussed that we will be having many inputs and we will be having many outputs, right? So let's say we are having 3-4 inputs and we are having, let's say 2-3, or let's say some considerable number of outputs. Okay, now what happens is, if you can recall the previous class when we were discussing about these things, I told you in case many to many, what happens is that we will be giving input to this part, and I was calling this part as the encoder part, right? So let's say x1 is the first input at time step t1, then x2 will be the second input at time step t2, x3 will be the third input. You can consider them to be different words of a particular sentence. Let's say you have been given a sentence, you are breaking it down into different words. Okay, and then those words are being feeded here, okay, at different time steps. So let's say this is at third second, and x4 is the fourth word which is passed at t4, or the 4th second. Okay, this is what we are doing. Now in case of many to many, I told you that this part is known as, this part is known as encoder, right? This is known as encoder, and this part is known as decoder. Now what happens is, in case of encoder, you will notice that the input is only passed. We are not having any output. You see, the ideal architecture of RNN is something like this. You are giving input, you are getting some output, right? You are giving input, let's say x1, you are getting y hat 1 as the output, and then this is how you proceed. Okay, but यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है कि we are not getting y1 or y hat 1. Okay, in no cases we are getting any output. तो output कहीं पर भी नहीं मिल रहा है. Okay, that is the idea of encoder. You will not have any output here. But in case of x4, okay, this is also known as EOS, end of statement. Okay, EOS is what? EOS is end of statement. Okay, what does that mean? Let's say you are having a statement like, I am visiting, I'm going to Delhi. Okay, this is the statement that we are having. Okay, now यहाँ पर what I am saying is I will be passed as x1, am is going to be passed as x2, going is to be passed as x3. Okay, 2 will be passed as x4, and Delhi will be passed as x5. मान लो you are having 5 words here. Okay, so this x5 or Delhi is going to be termed as EOS, end of statement. Okay, this is how we put a bracket, is like just to demarcate it as EOS. तो कहने का मतलब है कि whenever you are having EOS in the encoder side, you will have one output, and that output is going to be known as vector W. Now what is this vector W? Vector W is called context vector. Okay, this is known as a context vector. Fine. यहाँ तक सब कुछ clear है? Any doubts? Just simply understand that we are right now talking about the encoder section. Okay. In case of encoder, you will not have any output. You will only have inputs at different time steps. But once you reach at EOS or end of statement of your given input statement, what happens is once you reach at EOS, you will be having one output. That output will be known as W, and that W stands for context vector. What context vector क्या होता है, I will explain you in a minute. But before that, just tell me if it is clear. Tell me, कोई doubt है अभी तक?
No sir, clear.
Okay, fine. So till now we have understood that we are going to have one output towards the end. In case of encoder, that output is going to be known as W, or you can say context vector. Now what is this context vector? If you can recall, we have already discussed that whenever we are talking about recurrent neural networks or NLP in general, this input I am having no issues with that, but we all know that this input will not be passed, है ना? इसका क्या होगा? इसको हम लोग convert कर देंगे. Okay, we will convert this to TF-IDF, or for some people they will use word to vec also. But since we have understood that TF-IDF is a better alternative, what we will do? We will convert this text into TF-IDF. Okay, उससे क्या होगा? This given statement that you have, this will get converted to the vectorial format. Okay, so I का मान लो कुछ vector format है. Let's say 0.1. M का है 0.2. Okay, going का है 5, 2 का है let's say 3, and Delhi का है मान लो 4 या 41, कुछ भी मान लो, any number. Okay, so this is what? This is the context vector. Okay, this is simply your context vector that we are going to use. So context vector is nothing but the vectorial representation of your text input at different time step. तो context vector के अंदर क्या होगा, मान लो x1 का जो context vector था या फिर x1 जो आपका text था, ओके, इसको जब कन्वर्ट किए नंबर में, मान लो इसका नंबर आया 0.1, ठीक है। सिमिलरली दूसरा वाला का आया 0.2, फिर आया 0. let's say sorry 0 नहीं, let's say आया 5, okay, something like this, okay, and fourth वाला का आया मान लो 3, ठीक है। तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट वेक्टर के अंदर क्या होगा, इट विल हैव ऑल द 0.1, 0.2, 5 and 3. This is simply a context vector. The numerical representation are, you can say, amalgamated together. They are all combined together here and they are stored inside W vector. Fine. Now comes the interesting part. Once you have the W vector, okay, as the output of your EOS in case of encoder, the next step is that this W or this context vector will be passed as input to your decoder. You know that in case of decoder, the input are not going to be passed. Decoder में क्या होता है? Decoder में सिर्फ output मिलता है, okay? So decoder में you are only going to get output. So let's say the output is y hat 1, then यहाँ पर भी output आया y hat 2, and यहाँ पे भी output आया y hat 3. Okay, so this is the way how things are going to work. But y hat 1 कहाँ से आया? Okay, y hat 1 कहाँ से आया? Y hat 1 आया from W vector. So W vector acts as input. Okay, it acts as input to the decoder, and then based on this input, which is nothing but the combination of all these, vectorial representation, based on all these inputs, what happens is you are going to get one output y hat 1, and then y hat 2, y hat 3 ऐसा आएगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Okay, this is the idea of your encoders and decoders. So one important thing that we have understood is that in case of encoders and decoders, we are going to have something known as a context vector, and the second point that we have understood is that this particular context vector which is a part of your encoder will be transferred or will be transmitted as input to the decoder. Decoder का जो पहला cell होगा उसमें input किया जाएगा context vector from the encoder side, ठीक है। This is how encoders and decoders work. I have not talked about attention model yet, ठीक है। अभी तक attention model के बारे में बात नहीं हुआ है. We have first of all understood the idea of encoders and decoders. Now whatever I'm going to speak will be with respect to attention model, ठीक है। तो encoder decoder पूरा clear है? कोई doubt है तो please ask.
No, sir. No. Clear, sir.
Okay, ठीक है. Fine. So let us now, because this fundamental concept was essential, let us now talk about attention models, okay, which is the topic for us to discuss for the day. So let us talk about attention mechanism. Now in case of attention models, you will still have encoders and decoders, okay, but the architecture this time will change. Okay, कहने का मतलब है कि you will have encoders the way how we used to have it. Okay, let's say in the first time step you are providing x1, then you are providing x2, then you are providing x3, then you are providing x4. Okay, all of them are vector in nature, so you already know that. I'm not repeating it again. Okay, let's say the text that we have is today is let's say today is my birthday. Let's say this is the text. Okay, this is the text. What do? We convert this text to numbers by using TF-IDF, and then x1, x2, x3, x4 are passed as input. Okay, and this is, I am saying that this is the encoder section. So obviously output nahi aayega. Okay, this is something which happens in case of encoders and decoders. But in case of attention model, what will happen? Yahan par, this is how we will be considering the output. Now what happens is all of them will be added together. Okay, you will be having some. This is known as this. I'll just name it here. This is known as a addition gate. Okay, this is known as a addition gate. I will just talk about that in a minute. But before that, what happens is all these are given as input, okay, to this addition gate. But there is a difference, or there is a you can say updation here. What happens is each and every word are not important for us. If you can recall, this is something that we have discussed multiple times, that if you are having stop words in your given statement, we try to ignore those stop words, right? So those stop words are something like connectors for us. जैसे कि यहाँ पर भी देखो, if we consider this is a connector, this is also a connector. Even this word today is not that important, but ठीक है थोड़ा बहुत important है. The most important word is birthday. Okay. So what we will do, we will assign weights to them. Okay. Since is a word is not that important, we will assign a very small weightage to it. Let's say 0.1. Okay. My is not very important. We will assign a weight of 0.3. Then this word, let's say today. So this is important. Let's say we will say 0.4. Okay, kitna ho gaya? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say I'll just remove this and make it 0.1 only. Okay, so is getting 0.1 weightage. My is getting 0.1 weightage. Why? Because they are simply stop words. They are simply connectors, not very important for us. Okay. And then today is an important word because we need to describe when is the birthday. So today hai, tomorrow hai, yesterday tha, kab tha. That is something which we need to decide. So that is why today will be getting more weightage. Okay. And then birthday, how much we have? 6, again 4. So let's say this is, or let's say this I will give a 0.5. इसको मान लो 0.3 करते हैं because it is not as important as birthday. Fine. So these are words. These are the weights which are assigned to different words, and this is how these weights are given to this addition gate, and one output will be passed. Okay, only one output from the addition gate will be passed, and you will have something known as the decoders here. Okay, so multiple decoders will be available. I'm just drawing two. Okay, I'm just drawing two. Yahan par bhi it's not that you will only have 4 encoders. You can have many, depending on the text. You can have many. Okay. And they are interconnected like this. Fine, here also they are interconnected. So this will be passed. Okay, so I have just a second, I'll draw it again. Fine. So this will be passed here in the decoder section. This is going to give you the final output. Okay, so because this is simply a sentiment analysis kind of a situation, so it is not essential for you to have even 2 decoders. You can simply have 1 decoder and your job will be done. So instead of having 2, you can simply have 1 also. Your job will be done. But my point is that you can have multiple decoders. ऐसा नहीं है कि यहाँ पर एक decoder बना दिया मतलब एक ही decoder होगा in attention model. You can have many. Okay, and then you're going to get the output. Okay, let's simply call it y hat. Fine. This is the architecture of attention model. The most important thing that you need to notice is that यहाँ पर we are going to assign different words that we are having. And because of this weights only, what happens is more weightage or more attention is given to different words. For example, birthday को सबसे ज़्यादा attention मिल रहा है, today को उसके बाद next in line attention मिल रहा है, and so on. Fine. यहाँ पर, as I told you, this section is going to be known as encoder part. So this is your encoder. And this is your decoder. ठीक है, encoder decoder का concept अभी भी same ही है. And again यहाँ से जो निकला, okay, यहाँ से जो input निकला, that is your context vector. Okay, so the output of addition gate that we have is your context vector. And again, as discussed earlier, that context vector will be passed as input to the first cell of your decoder. This is what you are getting, and then accordingly you are getting y hat as the predicted output. And in our case, because it is a sentiment analysis example, this will either be 0 or 1. So it can be 1 or it can be 0. कुछ भी हो सकता है. Fine. So this is how your attention models are going to work. एक बार ये देख लो दोनों को, कोई डाउट है तो you can ask. The next thing that we will discuss is different concepts with respect to machine learning. So attention model यहाँ पे खत्म हुआ, कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज आस्क.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
ठीक है, so ये हुआ आपका attention model. Now let us go to machine learning थोड़ा सा. Okay, again I will not be going very deep into machine learning because that is something not a part of your syllabus, but for you to understand the project वो important हो जाएगा. Okay, so let us talk about machine learning. Now in case of machine learning, few things that you should be aware of is that again जैसे यहाँ पे हम लोग text के बारे में बात करते हैं. Okay, in case of NLP we talk about text and all. So text is the data only, right? So whenever we talk about machine learning, we talk about the steps involved. Okay, so steps involved in creating a machine learning model. ठीक है, तो हम लोग इसके बारे में बात करेंगे. Fine. The first step is gathering data. बिना गैदर किए डेटा को तो हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते. So gathering data is the first step. Now this data can be in any format. Okay, it can be a CSV file, comma separated value, which is kind of similar to your Excel sheets. Okay, it can be a .txt file. Okay, it can be a PDF file. It can be a Word file. Okay, it can be a TSV file. What is TSV? I will discuss about that in the project itself because your document or your text will be a TSV file only. So we will talk about that in depth. Okay. It can also be your image. Okay. So JPEG format can also be there. You can also have whenever we are talking about JPEG, so you can also have MP4, like videos can also be there. Okay. So कहने का मतलब है कि data can be in any format and you need to gather the data. That is the first step in creating a machine learning model. The second step is data pre-processing. Okay, so data pre-processing is the next step. Now what is data pre-processing? This is also known as data cleaning. This step is also known as data cleaning. Some people also call it data wrangling. So you can just remember those names if you want, otherwise simply understand data pre-processing. Now what happens in case of data pre-processing is that first step was to gather the data. Okay. So you have gathered the data. Now gathering can be through different surveys. Maybe you are conducting certain surveys, you are using Google Forms for that. Okay. And then you are circulating those Google Forms. So you are getting a lot of information. Okay. So gathering data can be in the form of surveys, or maybe you are conducting certain marketing campaign. Okay. Physical marketing campaign you are conducting. So वहाँ से भी information मिलता है, data मिलता है. Okay. You can visit certain let's say websites, or let's say some social media platforms you can visit to gather the information. Depending upon the kind of information you want, there are different possibilities, different ways to gather the data. Okay. Now what happens is that the data that you gather or that you collect is not in a structured format. Okay. Data is in a raw state. Okay. So the data that you get, let me just mention it here. So data that we get is in a raw state. Okay. This raw data needs to be processed, or it needs to be converted into structured format. Okay. We need to convert the raw data into a structured format. And for that, what do we have? We have this process of data cleaning, or you can say data pre-processing. Okay. In this data pre-processing, you are going to have multiple operations, like feature engineering is one. You can just remember these names. Kaise hota hai is not a part of your syllabus. So feature engineering is one. Apart from that, you have something known as one hot encoding. Then you have something called as data division. And then data splitting. Okay. Splitting का जब बात करते हैं, so you should know what kind of splitting are we talking about, or what kind of splitting are we going to do. So splitting will be done onto two categories. एक train set बनाएंगे and एक test set बनाएंगे. Okay. You will have a train set and a test set. Okay. Now these two terms we will be discussing in great detail. So just stay with me for some time and we will try to understand. Okay. So that is the second step. And if I talk about you only need to know this step. बाकी तीनों आपके लिए जरूरी नहीं है. Okay. So train क्या होता है, test क्या होता है, that is something which we will have to understand for that. Step 2 जब हो जाता है, then comes step number 3, where we actually perform training. Okay. Training of machine learning model. यहाँ से आपको कुछ समझ में आ रहा होगा कि ट्रेनिंग हो रहा है एंड यहाँ पे ट्रेन सेट है, तो हो सकता है ये ट्रेन सेट को यूज किया जाएगा ट्रेनिंग के लिए. एंड सिंपल maybe you might be thinking like that. So ट्रेनिंग में क्या होता है कि the algorithm or the machine learning model, so I will just mention it here, model will learn, okay, what is required out of it. ठीक है. तो जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट है उसको क्या किया जाएगा, उसको लर्न किया जाएगा इन दिस पर्टिकुलर ट्रेनिंग केस. ठीक है. तो लर्निंग का जब भी बात होगा, यू कैन सिंपली अंडरस्टैंड दैट वी आर एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट द ट्रेनिंग फेज. ओके. नाउ वंस द ट्रेनिंग इज डन, द फोर्थ स्टेप दैट कम्स इनटू पिक्चर इज टेस्टिंग. ओके. सो टेस्टिंग ऑफ मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल. यहाँ पर क्या होगा, मॉडल विल बी evaluated, or you can say model will be tested. Okay, same as humans. ठीक है, सेम एज ह्यूमंस। कहने का मतलब है कि whenever you are learning something, after that you are going to give a test. For example, let's say you are learning Python with me, or you are learning NLP with me. Then what happens after that? You are going to be assigned certain quizzes and all. Okay, so you will have to attempt those quizzes, and you will be getting certain marks. Let's say 5 out of 10, or 8 out of 10, or 10 out of 10. All these marks you are going to get in those quizzes and all. So first of all, what did we do? We understood the concepts. We understood what is NLP. We understood the different aspects of NLP, and then we tried to evaluate ourselves. We evaluated ourselves on different set of questions. Same चीज यहाँ पे भी होता है. First of all, you will have to train yourself. Okay, so training में basically you can understand that model is learning is same as you are learning NLP. So this is same as model is learning. Then once you are done with NLP, once you have learned NLP completely with me, what you will do? You will prepare projects. You will work on different data sets. Okay, you will work on different text corpus. Okay, and the accuracy that you're going to get is going to be the evaluated result of your understanding. So how much you have understood. Let's say you are giving a quiz. Okay, so you're giving a quiz and you are getting 8 out of 10 in the quiz. Okay, that means you have understood 80% of the concepts nicely, and there are still chances of improvement. 20% chances of improvement are still there. Okay, so this 80% is what? This is your accuracy. Okay, so कहने का मतलब है कि whenever we are talking about model will be evaluated, somehow I'm also trying to say that यहाँ पर you will be getting accuracy. So accuracy will be calculated. Accuracy of what? Accuracy of machine learning model only. So accuracy will be calculated. Okay, कि वो कितना अच्छा से learn कर पाया. Okay, that is the main objective ना. It has to learn. So वो कितना अच्छा से learn कर पाया, इसको evaluation कैसे होगा? With the help of accuracy. And accuracy कहाँ से calculate करेंगे? While we are talking about testing phase of the algorithm. ठीक है? So these are in general the steps which are involved in creating a machine learning model. Now for you, this step is not very relevant. This step may only data splitting is important for you, as I have already told you. This is important and this is important. Okay, pehla step is not important. Apart from that, the rest of them are important. Okay, यहाँ तक सब कुछ clear है Ravi? Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is in general what is happening in the background. Okay. Now you should know that what is train set and what is test set. As I told you, we will be discussing these two things in detail. So let us try to understand what is train set and what is test set. Okay. So देखो क्या हो रहा है. Let's say let's say this is you. Okay. Now what happens is you have to attempt a test, or you have to attempt a quiz, whatever. Okay, this is something that you have to do. Fine. Now what I have done, this is, let's say me, this is me. What I have done, I am giving you 100 questions. Okay, 100 questions I am giving you to practice. Okay, I am giving you 100 questions to practice. Okay, now what you will do, you will be practicing these 100 questions and then you will be attempting the test. Okay, so what we will do is these 100 questions, what I am going to do, these 100 questions, out of this 100 questions, let's say 80 questions, I will give you to study. Okay, and the remaining 20 questions, will be given to you for test purpose. Okay, so I'm not creating any separate test set for you, or I'm not creating any separate question bank for you. What I'm doing is I'm having 100 questions for you to practice. Okay, इसी 100 questions में से 80 questions you can use for for studying purposes, and the remaining 20 questions you can use for testing purpose. ठीक है, तो आपका evaluation किस पे होगा basically? इस 20 questions पे. And let's say out of 20 you are securing 18 out of 20. Let's just assume. Okay, so this is what? This is the accuracy that you are getting. Okay, so this is the accuracy of Ravi. ठीक है, ये कहानी समझ में आया? You are going to attempt a test, and what I am doing is I am having 100 questions with you. ठीक है, इसी 100 questions में से 80 questions I am giving you for practicing or for studying purposes. The remaining 20 questions I will be asking you in the test. ठीक है, random है, ऐसा नहीं है कि पहला 80 questions ही I will give you or something like that. Randomly chosen 80 questions will be given to you for studying so that your concepts are clear, and then again randomly chosen 20 questions will be given in the test thing. ठीक है, तो आपको जो test देना है उसके केस में you will have to use this, and let's say the test that you are attempting उसमें आपका है 18 out of 20, so this becomes your accuracy. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर this part is actually training. ठीक है, this is training, and this part is what? Simple. This is the testing part, है ना? This is testing, because we are getting some accuracy also here. So this is testing, or you can say evaluation step. Fine. But यहाँ पर, apart from these two things, you should also notice that the data was only one with us. Okay, so this huge chunk of questions, let us say this is the data. Okay, इसी data को क्या कर रहे हैं हम लोग? Split. Okay, this data is split into train, set and test set. Okay, train set में कितना questions है? 80 questions. टेस्ट सेट में कितना क्वेश्चंस है? 20 questions. ये क्वेश्चंस जो है ये किस लिए यूज हो रहा है? बिकॉज इट इज ट्रेनिंग. दिस इज यूज्ड फॉर लर्निंग पर्पस. ओके, एंड दिस इज यूज्ड फॉर व्हाट? इवैल्यूएशन पर्पस. फाइन. दिस इज द आइडिया ऑफ ट्रेन, टेस्ट, स्प्लिट एंड व्हाटएवर एल्स वी कैन सी. तो ये समझ में आया क्या हो रहा है? Okay, so this is what we are going to notice. Now when we are going to go ahead with the your questions and all, वहां पर क्या करेंगे कि question मतलब your case study basically. वहां पर क्या होगा कि you will have some information or some data. Okay, let us take one example here. I'm just giving you one simple example. Okay. Let's say you are having a data set like number of rooms, air conditioned है या नहीं. Okay, so similarly garage facility. Okay, then lift है या नहीं. Okay, security है या नहीं, and let's say location, or let's say lift को हटा के location में आ सकते हैं. Location. So these are different parameters that we have. Okay, and finally we have one more column of price. Now this example is with respect to predicting the price of a house. So if you are following certain applications like 99acres.com or magicbrick.com, this is how these guys are predicting the price of the house that are listed on Magic Brick and all. ठीक है, तो देखो यहाँ पे एक्चुअली में हो क्या रहा है. यहाँ पर this example, I'll just show you 2-3 entries. Let's say number of rooms are 3, air condition is provided, garage is provided, location is a prime location, okay, and security services are also provided. The price of the house, if you are trying to rent this house, let's say the rent is 40,000, okay, per month. 3 BHK hai, so this is the rent. Fine. Similarly, मान लो एक और घर है 2 BHK, okay, AC फैसिलिटी नहीं है, गैरेज फैसिलिटी है, लोकेशन इज लेट्स से नॉन प्राइम, okay, security is not provided, and price is let's say 20,000, okay. Similarly, एक और एग्जांपल लेते हैं, मान लेते हैं 2 BHK का घर है, okay, AC is provided, garage is provided, location is again prime, and security is also provided. The price becomes let's say 30,000, okay. So कहने का मतलब है this is how the data will proceed, okay, this is how the data will proceed. Now the important part is that this price component is something which we have to predict. Whenever we do these kind of questions in case of machine learning, you will have to apply different algorithms and you will have to predict the price. For example, I'll just give you one more set here, okay. So I'll just give you one more set here. Let's say you are having a 3 BHK house, AC is not provided, garage is not provided, location is non-prime, and similarly security is also not provided, and the price of the house is something which you have to predict. Fine. So whenever we are talking about such a situation, this is something that has to be predicted, okay. This is something which has to be predicted, and for that what we will use, we will have to use different machine learning algorithms. Simple as that, okay. So yahan par what I'm trying to say is that component, this particular price component is the dependent factor, okay. This is the dependent factor, and these are the independent factor, okay. These are the different independent factors, okay. Now yahan par usually we try to denote independent factors by X and dependent factors by Y. This is a general kind of representation, okay. Why I'm saying that they are independent is because if you change the value of garage, okay, let's say if you make it from Y to no, okay, if you make it from yes to no, location में कोई फर्क नहीं आएगा, okay. Similarly, if you change the location from a posh area to let's say remote location, the security will not change. मतलब कोई change नहीं आएगा security में as such, okay. Change कहाँ पर आएगा? Price में change आएगा. If you change the number of rooms from 3 to 2, you will see that there will be certain decline in the price of the house. Similarly, if you are not providing AC facility to a house, then the price of the house that you will get, and if you are giving AC facility, तब जो price आएगा, दोनों में अंतर होगा, okay. कहने का मतलब है कि these components individually or interrelated, they are not interrelated. If you change the number of rooms, AC से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. If you change the availability of AC, garage से कोई अंतर नहीं पड़ता है, या फिर room से कोई अंतर नहीं पड़ता है. So that is why they are independent of each other, okay, or their interdependency is very very low, okay. On the other hand, if you consider price, कोई भी पैरामीटर आप चेंज करते हैं इंडिपेंडेंट फैक्टर में, वो क्या करेगा? सबसीक्वेंट चेंजेस लेकर आएगा प्राइस में. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू चेंज सिक्योरिटी, प्राइस विल चेंज. लोकेशन में छेड़छाड़ करेंगे, प्राइस विल चेंज. गैरेज, प्राइस विल चेंज. एसी, प्राइस विल चेंज. एंड रूम्स में भी अगर चेंजेस किया जाए तो प्राइस विल चेंज. सो दैट इज व्हाई दिस पर्टिकुलर कॉलम प्राइस इज द डिपेंडेंट factor or the dependent column, and the remaining that are they're independent columns, and we try to show them as X and Y respectively. ठीक है, तो मान लो कि आपके पास ये पूरा का पूरा डेटा सेट अवेलेबल है. Okay, this is the entire data that you have. Now we have understood that out of the entire data that is given, what we do, we try to split the data, है ना. तो हम लोग क्या करेंगे, मान लो कि इतना सारा डेटा को हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं for training purpose. Okay, so this part of the data, this much, okay, is used for training. Okay, the remaining data that we have will be used for testing. ठीक है, जैसे यहाँ पे just for an example, let us consider 3 rows are being treated for training and the remaining 2 rows are used for testing purpose. तो train के अंदर क्या आ जाएगा? If you look closely here, train के अंदर component क्या क्या आएगा? 2 component आएगा. एक आ जाएगा एक train, है ना? This X train will have what? It will have number of rooms, AC, garage, location, security, and it will have Y train. Okay, जिसमें कि अलग-अलग prices mentioned रहेगा. Okay, dependent वाला factor. Similarly, अगर test को ध्यान से देखा जाए, तो यहाँ पर क्या होगा? यहाँ पे again you will have 2 components. What are the 2 components? Test के अंदर भी आ जाएगा X test, जिसके अंदर सारा independent वाला your columns will be there, and Y test will be there. So 2 components for testing phase and 2 components for training phase will be there. This is slightly confusing, थोड़ा सा complex है. Take your time, try to understand what I have told you. Okay, बस इसको एक बार देखो, समझो. If you are able to understand, well and good. Otherwise, we will discuss it again. ट्रेन टेस्ट का अंतर समझ में आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा है? एक्स ट्रेन क्या है, वाई ट्रेन क्या है, वाई टेस्ट एंड वाई ट्रेन में क्या अंतर है, एक्स टेस्ट एंड एक्स ट्रेन में क्या अंतर है, उतना समझ में आ रहा है तो देख लो एक बार. कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज आस्क मी.
Yeah, I'm able to understand. Like it is equal to the dependent and independent variables, no, that we generally do. Yeah. So yeah. I'm able to understand. Yeah.
Right? So these are the few core concepts with respect to machine learning. Okay. Again, so a little fast. Whatever we have discussed, like conceptual change with respect to attention model also, whatever we have discussed, attention model is okay. I guess you will be able to understand attention model. It is not that difficult. But mainly because you don't have any background in machine learning, that is why I want you कि थोड़ा सा ये दोनों तीनों चीज को जो भी हम लोग डिस्कस किए हैं इसको थोड़ा सा रिवाइज कर लेना, ठीक है? Because it will because this usually happens that my other students, they usually have some questions here. मतलब crystal clear नहीं रहता है ये वाला part in the very first flow. So even if you have any questions, I will be happy to take them. Okay, so just go through these things again. This steps involved in creating machine learning model. Okay, what are the aspects here?
Yeah.
Then this part you can go through this example. Okay, just go through it. And then if you have questions, we will be coming at 7 p.m. So accordingly, we will be taking up your first question.
Yeah. May I ask a question? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So there is this one dot. This machine learning models, are they pre designed, or are we going to design them as such? So
Yeah, algorithm is there. ठीक है, algorithm आपके पास available है. आप जो model बना रहे हैं, तो this is what it is. You have an algorithm here. Okay, this algorithm is predefined. Okay, this algorithm will be used by you and me. Okay, used by, let's say, your name. Okay, to create a model. तो ये जो model बनेगा ना, this will be not predefined. You will define this. So it's a Ravi will define this. Okay, what should be there, how it should be done, everything will be designed by you. But backend में जो algorithm चल रहा है वो कोई ना कोई researcher बनाया है, ठीक है? तो जो use कर रहे हैं वो बनाया है और जैसे यूज कर रहे हैं वो आप अपने हिसाब से कर सकते हैं. यू कैन मेक सर्टेन चेंजेस इनटू इट, यू कैन कस्टमाइज इट. ठीक है.
It's clear. Yeah.
So we will try to understand these things. ये थोड़ा practical चीज है. So when we start with the case study or your project basically, we will try to understand these things. एक पूरा class लेंगे starting से लेकर के end तक. Maybe that class will be a bit long, but ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. We will try to understand each and every aspect, and if possible, I will try to integrate certain revision points also. मतलब we will try to revise quickly, stemming, lemmatization सब कुछ कर लेंगे ताकि आपका एक ही क्लास में सारा कुछ एक compiled form में revise भी हो जाए and project भी बन जाए. ठीक है.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Right.